I want to remind people that you are trained academically as a cultural anthropologist, and you have a focus on how groups of people and society deals with plagues and things like that. Well, now that we know so much more truth than we did several years ago, people are starting to realize in larger numbers, brother, that we're getting to a tipping point. At least I'll speak for over here, in terms of people realizing, hey, the government is really trying to hurt me. And hey, I lost 4 family members and I can't even walk across a room. You know, people are saying to themselves, like, I'm young, I'm 30, whatever. I can't even walk across the room, neurologically damaged from these shots. And the anger and the realization together, what do you foresee? And I guess I just want to ask for your expertise, your opinion of where we are now, because the way I met you or found you was 3 or 4 years ago. You did this incredible video. I think you had a selfie stick. It was like a dark night. You were walking the old areas of Rome, and you were talking about your thoughts and concerns and observations of when people figure this out. You know, there are going to be a lot of dead. And I think we're still approaching, by the way, the peak of death and destruction from the shots, and right at a time where they're going to introduce the self-replicating, self-multiplying. We're going to get the same thing, only more rapid, if you can imagine. So as we do get to that tipping point, and when we get there, what are your renewed thoughts or current thoughts on what's happening there, and what is society going to look like when people do find out and really find
Okay,
out as a
so
cluster and a population?
yeah, that video I did on the empty streets of Rome during the lockdown when I was the only person, because I never observed the lockdown in Italy. I didn't have a selfie stick, it was just my hand there. I said
Oh,
2 billion people are going to die. This is a complete Masonic takeover of the world. And it's now come out that the vaccine is reducing fertility in women by 33% in all countries, which means 2 billion children in the lifetime of everyone who's alive now, 2 billion children will die in the womb. So that's just in the womb.
mm,
Not counting of the five, what was it, 4 or 5 billion who took this vaccine.
mm-hmm.
Uh, 73% of people who die after taking these shots have died from the vaccine. That's a recent stat that came out.
Mm.
The problem with these vaccines is cause misformed amyloid proteins to be produced in your cells. That's what's causing these strange white long clots. And within 6 hours of taking a Pfizer vaccine, it changes the genome of your cells permanently within the first 6 hours. So everyone who took the Pfizer and probably some of these others, they're now producing these
They're
misfolded
Yeah,
proteins.
they're foreign, they're
Yeah.
synthetic. We don't even know what they're made of. They're synthetic foreign proteins. I
Yeah.
agree.
So, that's the problem with that is if you get a misfolded protein in a blood transfusion, it will start causing proteins to misfold in your body, even if you didn't get the shot.
Yeah, I agree.
So, the experts who prepare the embalmers around the world are saying 82% of all deaths now have these long coagulations in the
Yeah,
bloodstream.
it's much more than that. I mean, I'm going to take I broke the story worldwide of the white embalmer clots in January of 2022. And I have the proof of it because I have Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Teresa Long, one of the 3 DOD whistleblowers, on film saying, I brought this story to Jane Ruby. I handpicked
Mhm.
her to get this out because I knew she wouldn't, mess with it.
Yeah.
And I've been messed with ever since, brother. And it was stolen from me and made into a documentary called Died Suddenly. And they all know it, the people that were involved. But anyway, let's not. That's another topic for another day. People know that.
So
Yeah.
we're going to
So
see a
so
lot,
what are we
a
gonna
lot
see?
more.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot more deaths. We're going to see an increasingly fast fall of the fertility rate
Mm.
among human beings worldwide. This affects even women who didn't take the vaccine, who are within 6 feet of someone who did. Shedding is a reality because of these folded amyloids, you know,
Yep. Pfizer admitted it in their documentation back in
and
2020.
in countries where they're giving mRNA shots to livestock, like in Australia, eating that meat will give you like, this is what mad cow disease was. It was from misfolded proteins.
To be careful with
So
those New Zealand lamb chops. Just
don't
saying.
eat any, yeah, don't eat, you have, they're going to try to poison the entire food chain because their objective is still the Georgia Guidestones, reduce the population to 500 billion. These people are absolute psychopaths. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can see no one's been prosecuted yet. There's all this information out, and they still haven't made the use of these vaccines illegal in any nation. I think
Well,
there's very few.
brother, not only that, but let's face it. I mean, Trump just keeps getting a pass over here. 3 days into after his inauguration, he came out, as you know, everybody knows, and said, we're going to bring you an AI version, self-amplifying. It's going to be for cancer. I mean, this guy's doubling and tripling and quadrupling down. And I don't understand how people just, the blinders. And when the self-replicating really takes hold, right now it's fast tracking, but it's not out yet that we know of. And once it does, those cancers and everything you just described is going to exponentially get faster and come at us. That's when I think people will start to figure out in large enough numbers. But this is the problem. The human genome is ruined it's going to for generations to come. And I just don't understand how God is so patient. This is his creation. And now they're directly messing with it. So,
Oh yeah, and yeah, the problem is that young people who took this vaccine may never be able to have a child, and even if they do, their children might pass on these things. Some of the effects are so lethal that it will kill the people who got these, and will
right.
kill the children in the womb. So a third generation won't be affected, but other effects not. And this is if you've watched the movies The Matrix or Terminator, you have to understand that this is the world they're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Already information is so deviously manipulated that you're as if you're plugged into the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the effects of modern warfare, as we're seeing in the conflicts in Ukraine, Armenia, and Gaza, is they're developing drones to kill people,
Mm-hmm.
run by AI systems. If they can't kill you with all these new vaccines, they're going to start doing things to kill you. I mean, you talked about chemicals they're spraying in the atmosphere. They do have high energy weapons that can torch entire cities from the air. So these people aren't going to stop. We're moving into a world that is so dark and so twisted, a lot of people aren't going to take it. And the people who aren't aware of what's going on, they're going to fall first. But a
Right.
lot of us who don't even want to avoid everything, once they have these things that can pass from body to body, we're not even safe.
Right.
Because,
You know, remember, go ahead.
human society requires interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And if the person next to you can give you something that will kill you within 18 months, what's left of humanity? So their aim is total kill off of the entire human race, within the next 25, 30 years. There's definitely still aiming for that. And all these politicians that say nice things, don't believe them at all. Don't believe these people at all. They're in us, they were like bad cop during the pandemic. Now
Yeah,
they're
they
being
still
nice.
are. They're phonies. Yeah, they still are. And in fact, that's another pet peeve. I've tried to explain to people all of this is phony. They exempted the US Congress exempted themselves. That's over 500 of them and their 3,000 staffers. And while the rest of the country begged for their jobs and their lives and were dead now and sick, and they never even questioned that. And I've tried to bring it out over and over again. And we have these, I'm sure you have them over there, these phony hearings that go, and after 4 years, I think people are starting to see what I said 4 or 5 years ago. This is going to go nowhere except their reelection. They're
Yeah.
phony. They're phony. The chemtrail laws, state by state, they're phony. They're not enforceable, and the feds have a protective loophole, and they know it, brother. So they're doing it duplicitously just to get reelected, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So you have to acquire the habit of non-compliance. You have to stop funding these companies by buying their products. You have to stop voting for these parties that do that. That might not solve the problem, but you have to weaken all their systems of control. So I tell Catholics, don't pay any attention to what Leo the 14th says. His election's invalid. And I can give you all the facts for that. Don't pay attention to these people who say they're going to make your country great again and still haven't put the people in jail who pushed the vaccine or they themselves were. Don't believe if the journalists are saying it, presume it's a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen and support independent media, because in the next round they're going to just completely shut down independent media.
Yeah.
The rights to use the internet will disappear, and you won't have voices like Dr. Jane Ruby or mine anymore. When they really get serious, they're going to look our number up and and get rid of us. Your children and your great grandchildren will not never have known the world the way we grew up in. And
Yeah.
if only there was more resistance, but the 60% of the population who are fools,
Hmm.
who went along with it, they're enabling this whole system. Okay.
Yes.
They're enabling the control system. And even though more people are aware of it, they're still not yet making the decision to say, I'm not going to have anything more to do with these people. Because until you unplug for them culturally, religiously, economically, financially, they're going to have power over you.
Hmm.
You have people talking about all the problems of the vaccine, and then they give you an ad about cryptocurrency. I mean, that's just totally ridiculous.
Right. Why would you trust them? You know, I mean, I get this analogy in my head. It's like your hand is on the stove and it's hurting and burning, and you want to get away from it, but the rest of your body is forcing you to keep touching it. That's the 60% that's going to take us all over the cliff. I don't care if you want to go over a cliff, go ahead. But that's not and that's what people say a lot, brother. They'll say, well, but so what? What are you getting so excited about? You either take it or you don't take it. So don't take it next time. It's not, that would be true if it was just a plain, simple, what we thought was a vaccine. But that's not what it is. You're all going over the cliff if you don't pay attention and build those numbers back of people who resist. That the whole mantra is do not comply and get ready. Prepare yourself to not comply and survive through not complying. That's the other piece, right?
Yeah, so people who have the ability financially to become self-sustaining and move to a very natural part of the world that doesn't have any kind of human technology, they'll have the longer term survival point of view. Those of us who live in cities or in constant contact with other people, we probably won't avoid it, and it will kill us. And only if you're very old, maybe you'll die of something else sooner, because this is a battle to the death. They want to kill us.
Yeah.
Don't pay any attention to their sweet lies and their nice phrases. They're just a bunch of psychopaths.
Yeah, and it's
And
really a dirty game because, just really quick on that whole infertility issue, they get all this material out into the human body, and people are, and now the numbers are going down, and then Trump comes out, and other people come out and say, "Hey, we're going to pay for in vitro, or we've got to get our numbers up." You're the ones that destroyed it with these systems, So it's so obvious. It's painful to be able to see it. I wish I
it,
didn't.
it's it's really painful. If I'll imagine the case of a young woman who is 22 and wants to get married and has a boyfriend and doesn't, and he lies to her and says, "I didn't take the vax." Well, after they're together the first time, she's already been infected by this guy, and she might become totally sterile. She might have menstruating problems for the rest of her life, and a third of all the children she conceives for the rest of her life die in the womb because of this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then think what happens through the generations. So, if you go to the hospital, you're in close contact with all kinds of people who've been vaccinated. So basically, our healthcare system doesn't exist anymore.
Big time, big time. And like Dr. Daniel Nagasi says, he's a former, because they stripped him, Canadian emergency room doctor. They stripped him of his credentials for using ivermectin. He also happened to be a molecular biologist, so he was called, he came out early on this thing, and he's tried to explain to people through a process called recombinant, DNA transcriptase. This will go on for generations, and you won't even know. Your grandchildren won't even know whose grandparents took the shot and didn't, and are carrying, like you said, brother, either the infertility to keep going, family legacies are dead already, or just to have a baby that's going to be sick most of its life and not live a full life. So this is just an existential threat. I mean, it's beyond the threat. It's here, and it's so frustrating not to be able to wake people up. But
Yeah,
I love what you're doing. Yeah, I love what you're doing. And I want to urge people to go over to fromrome.info, because it's more than just, this nice Catholic scholar, monk. You're brilliant. You actually have your finger on the pulse of so many different, topics, and you've got so many projects going. So I want people to support you and go over there. But, take the next few minutes, and is there anything you think we should know or anything we haven't covered? As much
That's
time as you want. I mean, people love you when you're on the show.
You have to start acquiring the habits for thinking on your own, learning how to tell someone's lying. Don't presume that the people in power are telling you the truth. Do your own research. Okay. Look for the facts. Don't presume. And unfortunately, we have lived in a society where we had a lot of free time. You got to dedicate your free time to defending yourself, because this information is going to save your life and the life of those around you.